Manual of Epictetus by Arrian. Epictetus, who was a native of Phrygia, is known by a name which means newly acquired, because he was a slave of Epaphroditus in the court of Rome during the reign of Emperor Nero, 54 to 68 CE. The early Christian Origen quoted an account by Celsus about Epictetus and the greatness of his words under suffering, similar to that of Jesus. Celsus wrote, "Take Epictetus, who when his master was twisting his leg, said, smiling and unmoved, 'You will break my leg.' And when it was broken, he added, 'Did I not tell you that you would break it?'" Epictetus spent the rest of his life with a crippled leg. While a slave, Epictetus managed to attend lectures of the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, who made his listeners feel that they were personally being accused. Epictetus gained his freedom and was expelled from Rome by Emperor Domitian about 90 CE with other philosophers suspected of republicanism. Epictetus settled in Nicopolis in Greece, where he lived in poverty with only earth, sky, and a cloak. Epictetus lived and taught a long time and probably died late in the reign of Hadrian, who reigned 117 to 138. Among his students coming from various parts of the empire was Flavius Arrian, who became a consul under Emperor Hadrian and wrote a history of Alexander the Great. Arrian collected the teachings of Epictetus into 8 books of discourses, the first 4 of which survive, and in a brief compendium of these teachings called the Enchiridion, or Manual of Epictetus. Diogenes in the 4th century BC founded the Greek philosophical sect called Cynics. He challenged social conventions with his ascetic and homeless lifestyle, his outspoken criticisms, and his shamelessness. Heraclitus of Ephesus lived about 540 to 480 BC, and for a while he lived in the mountains on grass and herbs. His pithy book, mostly lost, influenced Socrates and others. Euphrates lectured on Stoic philosophy and was highly praised by Pliny. Polynices and Eteocles were the sons cursed by Oedipus, who fought over the kingship of Thebes and killed each other in single combat. Zeno, about 300 BC, founded the Stoic school of philosophy by teaching from a porch, stoa, in Athens. Chrysippus lived in Athens during the 3rd century BC. He was a student of Cleanthes and Zeno, and wrote several hundred books expounding on logic and Stoic philosophy. Of existing things, some are in our power, others not in our power. In our power are conception, effort, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our actions. But not in our power are the body, property, reputation, rulers, and in a word, whatever are not our actions. Also, things in our power are by nature free, unhindered, unimpeded. But things not in our power are weak, slavish, hindered, belonging to others. So remember that if what is by nature slavish you think free, and what is others your own, you will be hindered, you will mourn, you will be disturbed, and you will blame both gods and humans. But if you think only yours is yours, and another's just as it is another's, no one will ever compel you, no one will hinder you. You will not blame anyone, nor accuse someone. Not one thing will you do unwilling. No one will harm you. You will have no enemy, for you will suffer no harm from anyone. So aiming at such great things, remember that it is not necessary moderately moving to take hold of them, but to give up some things completely, and carry over others for the present. Even if you intend these things and to rule and be wealthy, perhaps you may not bring about these latter because of also aiming at the former, and you may fail to get these, by which alone freedom and happiness are gained. So at once practice saying to every disturbing impression, "You are an impression, and not the complete manifestation." Then examine it and test it by these rules which you have, first and foremost of which is this: whether it concerns things in our power or not in our power. And if it does not concern something in our power, let the reason for that be handy. It is nothing to me. Remember that the promise of desire is the attainment of what you desire, the attainment of aversion, not to fall into that which is avoided. And whoever fails in desire is unfortunate, and whoever falls into what is avoided has misfortune. If then you avoid things against nature in your power, you will fall into none which you may avoid. But if you are averse to sickness or death or poverty, you will have misfortune. So remove aversion from all things not in your power, and transfer it to things against nature in your power. But for the present, remove completely the desire. For if you desire some of the things not in our power, you must be unfortunate. And of those in our power, however beautiful it would be to desire them, none would ever come forward for you. But use only impulse and departing, and yet even lightly with exceptions and unconstrained. To each of the allurements or things providing use or contentment, remember to say, "What quality is it?" beginning from the smallest things. If you like a jug, say, "I like a jug," for when it breaks you will not be disturbed. But if you should kiss your child or wife, say that you are kissing a person, for when one dies you will not be disturbed. When you are about to take on some work, remind yourself what kind of work it is. If you are going out to bathe, put before yourself things occurring in a bathhouse, the splashing, the pushing, the insulting, the stealing. And thus you will take on your work more safely if at once you say to yourself, "I intend to bathe, and to watch keeping my preferring according to nature." Also do the same in each action. For thus if something got in the way of bathing, a handy reason for that will be, "But this was not the only thing I intended, but also to watch keeping my preferring according to nature. But I shall not be observing it if I am annoyed at the things occurring." Actions do not disturb people, but opinions about actions. For example, death is nothing terrible, or else it would have appeared so to Socrates also. But the opinion about death, that it is terrible, that is what is terrible. So when we are hindered or disturbed or grieved, let us never accuse another but ourselves, that is, our own opinions. To charge others is the work of the uneducated, in whose power the self is doing badly. Beginning to be educated is to charge oneself. Having been educated, neither another nor oneself. Do not be excited by any advantages of others. If the horse, being excited, should say, "I am beautiful," it could be endured. But when you, being excited, say, "I have a beautiful horse," be aware that you are excited about a good of the horse. What then is yours? The use of impressions. Therefore, when you have the use of impressions according to nature, then get excited, for then you will be getting excited about something good in your power. Just as on a voyage, the ship being anchored, if you should go out to draw water, along the way you might pick up both shellfish and bulbs. It is necessary to pay attention to the ship and continually turn towards it, lest the captain ever call. And if he calls, to give up all those things, unless you want to be thrown on like the sheep. Thus also in life, if instead of a bulb and shellfish, a wife and child is given, no one will hinder. But if the captain should call, run to the ship, giving up all those and not turning back. If you are old, do not ever get far away from the ship, lest when called you may be left behind. Do not strive for things occurring to occur as you wish, but wish the things occurring as they occur, and you will flow well. Sickness is a hindrance of the body, but not of preferring, unless this wills it. Lameness is a hindrance of the leg, but not of preferring. Also, say this upon each thing happening, for you will find this a hindrance of something else, but not of yourself. Upon each thing happening, remember turning upon yourself to seek what ability you have for the use of it. If you see someone handsome or beautiful, you will discover self-control, the ability for these. If labor is imposed, you will discover endurance. If insults, you will discover patience. And so, becoming accustomed, the impressions will not grab you. Never say about anything, "I lost it," but "I gave it back." Did the child die? It was given back. Did the woman die? She was given back. The farm was taken away, so this also was given back. But the one taking it away was bad. What do you care by whom the giver took it back? So long as one gives it, as a stranger's, take care of it, just as the ones passing by do of an inn. If you intend to advance, give up such inferences. If I neglect my things, I shall have no support. Unless I punish the servant, he will be bad. For it is better to die of hunger, becoming sorrowless and fearless, than live in abundance, being disturbed. And it is better for your servant to be bad than for you to be unhappy. Begin therefore from the small things. The oil is poured out, the wine is stolen. Say, such is the price of calmness, of being undisturbed. Nothing is gained gratis. When you call the servant, realize that he may not be able to comply, and having complied may not do what you intend. However, it is not so well for him that it should be in that one's power for you to be disturbed at all. If you intend to advance, daring on account of external things to be thought unintelligent and silly, do not wish to be known for knowing anything. And if some should believe you to be something, distrust yourself. For be aware that it is not easy to watch keeping your preferring according to nature, and the externals too. But taking care of one of these, one must neglect the other altogether. If you wish that your children and wife and your friends live forever, you are silly, for you are wishing that things not in your power be in your power, and others' things be yours. Thus if you wish that the servant not fail, you are a fool, for you are wishing that vice not be vice, but something else. But if you wish not to fail in desiring, this can be done. Therefore exercise this, what can be done. The Lord of each is the one having authority over what one is wishing or not wishing, in the obtaining or taking away. So whoever would be free, let them neither wish anything nor avoid anything in the power of others, or else be by necessity enslaved. Remember that you ought to conduct yourself as at a banquet. When something is passed around to you, stretching out your hand, partake of it politely. It passes on. Do not hold it back. It has not arrived yet. Do not project the desire forward, but wait around until it comes to you. Do so toward children. Do so toward a wife. Do so toward officers. Do so toward wealth. And then you will be worthy of the gods' banquets. But if you do not take what is put before you, but look down on it, then not only will you share in the banquet of the gods, but also in ruling with them. For by doing thus, Diogenes and Heraclitus and similar ones were deservedly divine and called so. When you see someone crying in sorrow, either a child having gone abroad or one's things having been ruined. Be careful that the impression does not grab you as being in one's external ills, but at once let be handy. What happened does not distress this person, for it does not distress another, but their opinion about it. Yet as far as words go, do not hesitate to sympathize with them, and if it so chances, even to lament with them. Yet be careful not to lament also inside. Remember that you are an actor in a play, which the playwright wills. If short, short. If long, long. He may intend you to play a beggar, so that also you might act this naturally, or a cripple, an official, or a private person. For this is yours, to play the given role beautifully, but the selection of it is another's. When a raven does not crow auspiciously, do not let the impression carry you away, but at once distinguish for yourself and say, "None of these are significant for me, but either for my body or my property, or my reputation, or the children or wife. For me, every portent is significant if I wish. For whatever turns out, it is in my power to benefit from it." You can be invincible if you never go into a contest which is not in your power to win. Look out lest seeing some more honored, or with great power, or otherwise blessed with fame, you are ever carried away by the impression. For if the essence of the good is in your power, neither envy nor jealousy have a place. And you yourself will not wish to be a magistrate, nor a president or consul, but free. There is one way to this, looking down upon things not in your power. Remember that not the one abusing or beating is insulting, but the opinion about these is insulting. So when someone irritates you, be aware that your assumption has irritated you. Thus at first try not to be carried away by the impression, for once you get time and delay, you will more easily control yourself. Let death and exile and all things appearing terrible be before your eyes each day, but most of all death. And then you will neither take to heart the mean, nor will you desire anything very much. If you desire philosophy, prepare now as one being ridiculed, as you are being mocked by many, who are saying, "Suddenly a philosopher has returned to us," and "From where has this highbrow come to us?" But you should not have a highbrow, but hold thus to what is appearing best to you, as to that place assigned by God. And remember that if you remain in the same, these ridiculing you before will later be amazed. But if you are overcome by them, you will receive ridicule twice. If it should ever happen that you turn outside because you wish to please someone, be aware that you lost the management. Therefore be sure in everything to be a philosopher, if you also plan to seem one, and you will be capable also of showing it. Do not let these considerations oppress you. I shall live unhonored and no one anywhere. For if the lack of honor is bad, then you cannot be an evil through another, any more than in shame. So is it your work to get office or be invited to a feast? Not at all. How then can this still be lack of honor? And how will you be no one anywhere, when it is necessary to be someone only in those things which are in your power, in which it is possible for you to be worthy of the greatest? But will your friends be helpless? What do you mean, helpless? They will not have small change from you, nor will you make them citizens of Rome. So who told you that these things are in your power, and not others' work? Who can give another what one does not have oneself? So acquire, one says, so that you shall have. If I can acquire keeping myself modest and faithful and high-minded, show the way, and I shall acquire. But if you expect me to lose the good things that are mine, so that you may obtain things that are not good, you see yourselves how unfair and unkind you are. And what do you want more, silver or a faithful and modest friend? Therefore rather assist me into this, and do not expect me to do those things, by which I may lose these things. But the country, as far as it is in my power, one says, will be helpless. Again, what kind of help is this also? It will not have porticos nor baths through you. And what is this? For neither does it have shoes through the blacksmith, nor arms through the cobbler. But it is sufficient if each fulfills one's own work. If you furnished for it another faithful and modest citizen, would you not be benefiting it? Yes. Then you yourself would not be unbeneficial to it. So what place, one says, shall I have in the state? Whichever you can, guarding at the same time fidelity and modesty. But if wanting to benefit it, you lose these things, what benefit would you be for it, if you ended up shameless and unfaithful? Is someone honored before you at a feast, or in greeting, or in being invited into council? If these things are good, you must be glad that that one got them. But if bad, do not be distressed that you did not get them. Remember that not doing the same things toward getting things not in your power, you cannot be expected to get an equal share. For how can one have an equal share, not frequenting someone's door with the one frequenting it, not escorting with the one escorting, not praising with the one praising? Thus you would be unjust and insatiable, if not paying these things for which those are sold, you wish to receive them free. But for how much is lettuce sold? For an obol, perhaps. So if someone paying an obol receives lettuce, and you not paying do not receive it, in no way have you less than the one receiving. For as that one has lettuce, so you an obol, which you have not given. Now it is the same way also here. You have not been invited to someone's feast, for you have not given to the one calling as much as the dinner is sold for. It is sold for praise, it is sold for service. So give the price, if it profits you, for which it is sold. But if you intend both not to pay and receive these, you are insatiable and silly. So do you have nothing instead of the dinner? Thus you have the not praising one whom you did not wish to, the not having to endure those at his entrance.